from an event like perspective, like my wedding was like that level of excitement.
Why would we need a 75-minute male stripper performance?
Why is there tea at every ball? The kingdom dance is playing and you're holding hands with a girlfriend and you're spinning in a circle, like that's what you go for? Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be it's so highly requested, and I think it's something that the book community talks about all the time. I don't know if anybody's really done a deep dive because it is kind of like a newer industry. We're gonna be talking about the romance balls, the fantasy balls, romantasy balls, whatever you want to call it, the balls. I'm gonna have the timestamps so that you can go to each category of the video, because I think this video is gonna be a little bit long. You can go to each like section of what question that you want answered, but we're gonna go through the whole thing and I hope it's helpful. Also, I'm going to be tagging some of my favorite like book merch and like places to get bookish and like bookish attire and ball gowns and things like that. All of that will be linked in the description box. I have now been to 3. I will continue to be going to these, but we're going to be talking about the ones that I've been to. I will be naming companies. I will be talking about things that have happened at them. I'm not trying to make this a tea fest. I'm just going to be honest for you as a consumer who is thinking about purchasing these tickets, because some of these tickets are, a lot of these are multiple hundreds of dollars. I'm only going to, I'm gonna be honest. Let's be real. I'm gonna talk about the ones that I've been to, my experiences with them, where I would go again, where I would not go again, how I look for a good ball, because it is kind of hard with this being a new industry. There's a lot of new companies popping up, and it's so interesting to me because I feel like my feed is inundated with so many balls, but then I will have people be like, where do you find these? And the first ball that I ever bought a ticket to, I actually bought 2 years before it happened. Or like a year and a half. It happened in February of, oh my God. Yeah, February of this year, 2025, and I bought it in the fall of 2023. Pining for tickets, me and, let me stop myself right there. Sarah, my friend Sarah, who many of you know, she was at the Facebook groups, like trying to get tickets to different balls because they were selling out so fast. Anyways, how to find a good ball, where to find what to wear for the balls, because that's a whole nother thing, the culture of the balls, what to expect. We'll go over ticket prices, what I think you should pay, what I think you shouldn't, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna go into it. So let's start there. First off, which balls have I been to? So I went to a ball by Fantastique, which was called the Starfall Ball, I believe. That was in February in New Jersey. The Fantastique Ball was one of the balls that had drama on TikTok. It was not the one, there was a ball that looked like basically a convention center, an empty convention center or something. It wasn't that one, but they did have some tea around the ball, and so I'll talk about that. So the Fantastique Ball, and I'm gonna kind of be naming them by the company name. So Fantastique in New Jersey. I also went to a Second Star Events Ball in New York. I went to that one in May, and then I went to a Music Farm Ball in March. I'm gonna say ball lightly to the Music Farm one, and we knew this going in because Music Farm is a local musical venue in Charleston. Wherever small bands or alternative bands or a small music venue is, that's a really cool place. That's what the Music Farm is. It's got really cool bands that come in there, cool events. Let's go over my experience with each, and I'll go in order. So it was Fantastique, Music Farm, and Second Star Events. Fantastique set such a high bar for balls for me. I don't think I will ever look at a ball and not compare it to the Fantastique Ball. If you want to go online and you want to see the tea about the Fantastique New Jersey Ball, you're gonna see people talking about the venue wouldn't let people in. There was some rumors about they had hit capacity or they hadn't paid for, they let in how many people the event company had paid for, and then once they hit that number, they hadn't paid for the rest, and so they didn't let people in. So there was a period of time that people were not allowed in. I'm going to be listing off grievances I have heard because I experienced none of that. Keep that in mind. We got there really early. Not to say that it was the people's fault. I think there was miscommunication there. I don't know. But so people were locked out of the ball for, I think they said 30 minutes. So you're missing part of the experience that you paid for. They also had some discourse about the gift bags. The gift bags weren't great. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't give a shit about the gift bag at a ball. Personally, I think gift bags, based on all of my experiences with any event, especially bookish ones, not even just balls, but I'm talking about fairs, anything. If you can't do, look, book people, if you're trying to do an event or something, if you can't do a good bag, don't do it. Because people will criticize your gift bag. And I know that sounds like there are bigger fish to fry, 100%. I didn't pay the ticket to get the gift bag. I didn't care about the gift bag. But they didn't do the gift bag well, and that added fuel to the fire. So there were some things that I consider at the scale of this event. They had, oh my God, so many people. This ball, minimum 600 people. I think that they may have had even over 1,000. I'm not sure what it was, but this was at a literal castle for the size of this ball. And at the time of the ball, I think that this company has been up for 2 or 3 years. Like, the size of that ball in comparison with the age of the company, I thought they did a fantastic job. You're looking for that feeling. Like when you see the content online of people going to these balls and you see it's with the music and you want to have that moment where the kingdom dance is playing and you're holding hands with a girlfriend and you're spinning in a circle, like that's what you go for. You're going for it all together, like fantasy vibe. They hit that vibe perfectly. They had areas of the castle where you could learn a dance, and then they had times when you would go to the main ballroom and they would be playing the music so you knew the dance, but it never disrupted the ballroom itself. They had amazing music. They were so good about creating, and I think this also has to do with the people going for sure, but you can't control who buys the tickets, and I think the company, like fantastique, did such a wonderful job about making it such an inclusive, fun vibe event. And with that many amount of people, I sent them an email because they asked for feedback. I gave general feedback, but I think it was amazing. Fantastique balls, I would recommend them 100 times over. I think they're great, and I'm looking forward to going to another one. Now, the Music Farm ball. The Music Farm ball, okay. Why is there tea at every ball? It's not tea, guys. It's not that crazy. But this one was crazy, okay? So, I'm gonna say what I can, okay? So the Music Farm ball, it was a romantasy ball. That's what it was called. And they had, from what... Okay, we went to this ball, all right? I didn't read anything about the ball. We bought the tickets in October. The ball was in March. I didn't even read the description. I saw romantasy ball and I just took it. I think our tickets were like $75 or somewhere between $75 and $100. So it wasn't like a big night or like as large of a ticket as like the other balls that we've gone to. And the day before, I read the description because I was like, I actually don't know what to expect at this ball. I read that there would be performances by Studs of Steel, which I was like, what is Studs of Steel? Had some other, and they had like exotic dancers, and I was like, okay, like, I mean, like kind of odd, but like, okay, like let's see the vibe, I guess. Decor, amazing. DJ, amazing. Venue, so great. Like Music Farm's just fun. Bar, awesome. Like everything was great. I had a great time with my girlfriends. However, I personally talked to the Music Farm team, okay? I personally talked to the Music Farm team, and the performance thing was kind of out of their hands. They did a partnership to my understanding, and what they were told is not what happened. What they were told would happen is not what happened, and it was not it. So Studs of Steel, I looked up Studs of Steel on the way there. It's male strippers. Great, fine. But it was what I think was supposed to be like it said 75-minute performance on the description. I was like, why would we need a 75-minute male stripper performance? But I was like, maybe they're gonna do something. No, they basically just put male strippers at bat wings. No, and then they did their entire show, like whatever Studs of Steel's show usually is, they did that entire show. Again, not a criticism, okay? If that is what you're going, if you are purchasing a ticket to Studs of Steel, awesome. They did a great job. It was crazy. There was a lot of screaming. If you're going to a romantasy ball and you're not expecting that, which a lot of people weren't, because it's very clear a lot of people didn't actually read the description. That's fine. I don't think that's anybody's fault. It just wasn't the time or place, okay? So they got some flack, they got some feedback, and they are so awesome. What I love is that, like, all of them have read these books, and so they are fans, and so the event, even for them, they knew, they were like, this is not like what we kind of meant for this night to be. It was still awesome night, and the feedback that they've gotten were like, we had so much fun. The performances were just crazy and long. And when I say crazy, I'm not gonna hash it out. If you're going to a male stripper performance, if you're looking for that, Studs of Steel is awesome, and you're going to get every bang for your buck. But that wasn't what we were there for, okay? This could have been done better. I like this event, and I like this venue. Maybe if I do something. Who said that? The third ball I went to was with Second Star Events. Second Star Events was in New York, and it was at, I think, like a judicial house or something. They were one company that I had seen multiple balls come from. They had like a lot of really good promo, a lot of great reviews. Logistically, company, so great. Like, they did such a great job. I think that the activities that they had these really cute stations, because it was a Neverland ball, so it was all like, you know, Neverland, Peter Pan, pirates, like fairies, all that kind of stuff. It was so cute. They had a tinker station where they had things where you could repair your costume when people went so all out. That's the thing. For Fantastique and for the Neverland ball, people go so hard. They work on these costumes for like a year, and a lot of them are homemade, like just amazing craftsmanship. It was so awesome. So they had this tinker station, they had a little pixie dust station, like they had really cute ways that you can interact through the ball if you weren't just dancing, which I really liked. I think they had kind of a small bar, like with like 2 drink options. I think the venue probably makes that a little bit harder. And some people may care about that, some people don't. That's something I noted. I was like, okay, like not necessarily, I don't think that bar was like worth the money paid for the ticket. The ball experience itself was so wonderful. Like, I think that the venue, it lended itself really well to having a beautiful, like, the dancers were down here, or like anybody doing ballroom dancing was down here, but then they had a second floor where you could just watch, and it was really lovely. One thing that I noticed that I didn't love is that some of these balls have coordinated dances that you can learn. And I actually think that's a wonderful part of the ball. So again, when I'm gonna like compare Fantastique to Second Star, not to pin the companies together. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just from a consumer perspective, what I noticed from one and the other and where I would rather go. So Fantastique, just because of the size of the venue, was able to have one of the ballrooms be dedicated to learning dances. And so every, I think like 15 minutes, they had a class going, which was really nice because you could go learn the dance, and then there's actually 2 dances I believe that you could learn, and then they would release, and at a certain time the main ballroom with like the DJ, the lights, like all the kinds of things, you went to the main ballroom, and at a certain time they would do that dance, and so you were actually able to do the dance, and nobody on the active like dance floor was being disrupted by the ballroom dancing lessons. With the Second Star event ball, they had like some music, and they did mainly like fantasy music, so think, you know, like the general like violins and like think of like the fantasy fun music, which I think is where balls should start. Like that should be the starting music of a ball. So they had that, and then they went through 3 different dances, but because there's only one ballroom, like only one dance floor rather, they had like, you'd be like, okay, we're gonna learn the fairy dance. They learned the fairy dance, they would then play the music, do the fairy dance, and then they go, okay, now we're gonna learn the pirate dance. And so I got to dance a little bit, only to like fantasy music, not that bad. Like I prefer go into like later in the night, it also go into like kind of club music, so it kind of feels like you're like fantasy people dancing in the club, like the music progresses throughout the night. Some people may want the fantasy music the whole time, I think that's totally fine. But I only had like this amount of time to actually like dance with my friends. When we looked at the schedule, I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in like learning the ballroom dances and doing this. There's also 3 of them. This is kind of taking a long time. Like, when do the dances end? And we looked at the schedule, and that was it. It was some dancing time, then you learned the coordinated dances, learn the dance, do the dance, learn the dance, do the dance, learn the dance, do the dance. And then I think there was a costume contest. So we actually ended up leaving early, which I know sounds insane. I went with my friend and she like wasn't feeling like good. Her feet really hurt. We had done a photo shoot before. So altogether it was like, it just wasn't awesome of an experience. I think it was a beautiful venue. I think the production of the company, they did like really well. I just probably would have coordinated the dancing a little different. Now, when you are shopping for a ball, because there are so many balls, these are just 2 companies, but there are so many, and there are so many that I think look like they are doing it so well. And here's what you want to look for when choosing a ball. 1, you need to look for how long that they've been doing balls and how many balls that they have done. This is a very new industry and it's getting very popular. And because of that, I think that we're having a lot of really passionate and enthusiastic people starting these events that are not trained and aren't as prepared to put on that size of an event. I think it's totally great. I'm sure that, you know, I hope that they do really well, but I know that for me, the balls that I want to go to are very high production and it is an event that needs to be put on by like a skilled event company. But if you're wanting to go and like really invest in one of these, go to one that they have done these balls before. Chances are, if you are looking on TikTok or Instagram and you're seeing these videos and it's a vibe that you like really like, and I'm meaning videos from attendees showing their ball experience, if that's a vibe that you love, chances are you're gonna like the ball itself. For me, like Second Star events, I think that they have really great production. I think the videos that they have out and the videos I see people like make accurately display the feeling of going to the ball. I just think that that particular event setup wasn't necessarily for me. If you see an account and all they have is like general like AI imagery or mainly like photos of sparkles and castles, and it has nothing like that actually has to do with an event, they have no proof of an event, I'm a little bit more hesitant. Ticket prices. So I actually pulled up, I couldn't find my receipts for the balls that I had gone to, which I think is super weird, but I did pull up the most recent pricing for some of the balls. So like Fantastique's next ball, their GA pricing is $346. This gets you, a lot of these balls will have like ball itself, either an open or like a limited bar, and then they may have events the day before the ball. Fantastique had that. It was almost like a big book fair and a fashion show thing, but what was really fun about it is that you could also dress up for that. So I had my dress for the actual ball, and then the day before, me, my friends, and Joseph, we all went as like assassins, and it was like really fun. The GA, $346.10. That's like, see, this is what I'm saying. If you're gonna pay that much, like I feel like you really want to get your money's worth. I got VIP for the Fantastique ball, and I got VIP for the Second Star events ball. I really like VIP because you usually get let in early, so I think that it's like you get more time in the vibe. I would not have done VIP again for Second Star events. I would do it every single time for Fantastique. So for Second Star events, their price for their next ball is $230. That is check-in at a separate location the day before the ball, an exclusive Gilded Hearts tote bag with some goodies, they have a bag, a self-guided book crawl through Minneapolis the day before the ball with planned out suggestions for food, shops, and attractions. I think that's like, you know, it's self-guided, it's not, you know, you just kind of do these book crawls. We didn't end up doing the book crawl that was like associated with the Neverland ball, and then 2 drink tickets for the bar at the ball. I think $230 is a bit of a high price based on my experience, and that you're not giving food and you're not doing like an open bar. And then the Music Farm ball I think was around like between $75 and $100. That's a little bit different. That's more of a like fantasy night versus an actual ball. People ask all the time, should I go to a fantasy ball? Should I go to a book ball? Is it worth it? 100% it is worth it. Joseph and I maintained that that weekend and that night of the Fantastique ball was genuinely one of the best nights of our lives. From an event like perspective, like my wedding was like that level of excitement. It was so fantastic. When you are shopping for balls, look at the location of where the ball is, because it is a ball, so much of the grandeur, so much of the vibe comes from where it's being held. When you're looking at the venue, you're gonna get a good idea of like what the night's going to be, because there could be like general venues like Music Farm, and they could decorate it up and it could be really cute and fun, and so it'll be like, you know, that's one vibe. And then there's the grand balls at castles and at these larger like spaces that create a little bit more of a grand setting. So keep that in mind. To be honest, guys, you're like, for how to find these Facebook groups, but if you interact with one like ball company, you will end up getting fed so many. Just keep interacting like with one ball company, keep going. Like if you go follow Fantastique and Second Star events, you'll start seeing the other book content. Like, thank God algorithms work. But let's get into outfit planning, shall we? Where do you get your cosplay, your materials, your dresses, your gowns, menswear for these balls? A lot of people do like kind of put together outfits from Amazon. Like Amazon is just honestly the biggest retailer, that's no secret. There are so many options if you're trying to go on a budget. There's so many options on Amazon that you can really build off of. And so if you see like a dress, or even like a thrifted dress, or something used, or like a general gown that you really like but it's not necessarily fantasy, you can do things like adding arm cuffs, adding a cape, adding all these different elements to make it fantasy. You can also go the custom route. So my first fantasy ball dress, I had a custom dress. I worked with a very prominent custom dress designer in the Bookish community, who I still love, but at the time I did not have a very good experience. And I think I would, now that I'm separated from it, I think I would purchase again. I think that I got them at a bad time. But for example, like my dress was, I think 6 months late. I started it really early, so if you're doing something custom, make sure that you leave a lot of time. There was just a lot of issues, but the ending product turned out so great. Transparently, that dress, the Farrah dress that everybody talks about, that cost $800 or like right under $1,000 or something like that, and that's generally what these dresses run. There are several different wonderful like Etsy designers that you can use. I've even looked at, like when we were in Thailand, we met some really, really amazing designers that mainly did like suits. We've got Joseph suits from them, we've got dress shirts from them. They made me a coat, like just these, honestly, there's two men that are really, really sweet, and so I've talked to them, and so there's so many options that you can do. If you want to go custom, be prepared to drop $1,000 to $2,000, because it's a work of art. That's definitely for like the collectors. Menswear, honestly, Amazon Amazon and Etsy is how we curated any of Joseph's stuff. We got a lot from Etsy, and our highest ticket item was actually this leather jacket. Think of something like Dorian would wear, and it was, I think, $300. I know. We like really collect these items, so. And it ended up being made wrong. The sleeve is like extremely short, so there's that. Etsy's a bit of a toss-up, you know, but Etsy's also where I got like my birthday armor. Etsy and Amazon can get you really, really far. Amazon's gonna be the cheapest. You can find some really good options on Etsy for a little bit more, and then custom's going to be your most expensive. However, something that I didn't even really know about until I was getting alterations on actually my original custom dress is you can get a dress from online. You can get a thrifted dress, you can get any dress for really, really cheap, bring it to an alterationist and get some customizations on it. So if there's a blue dress that you really love that you want like constellation stitching on, that's something that they could do. This blue dress I'm trying to remember the retailer. Now I'm like, I can't think of a retailer. I'm gonna put it on the screen and I'll link it. I really, really love their pieces. They're a little bit more expensive, but that's like in a couple $100 range rather than the $1,000 range, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be listing a bunch of places down below, as well as a big folder in my Amazon storefront where I keep all of my fantasy materials. If you're just wanting to build like fantasy outfits for a festival, for cosplay, Halloween's coming up, if you're building a dress, like whatever, all of it's going to be there. We've got swords, we've got daggers, I've got corsets out the wazoo. Once you start this journey, it's so fun. We have a costume closet and it's the best ever, and I highly recommend it. That's That's a T. If you're going to a romantasy ball, I highly suggest it. If you went into this not sure if you wanted to go, go. It was the most beautiful, fun, amazing, heart-filling experience that you want to feel coming to these books. At least for the fantastique ball, like that is what made me fall in love with balls. Not all balls are going to be the same, and that's okay. I now consider this like a lifestyle. But if you went into this video unsure if you should go, you should go. And if you see me endorsing a ball, I need you to know that it means it filled my heart with that feeling that books do. I'm like, I need to feel this in real life, and that's what it did for me. My biggest endorsement is fantastique, and if you're just wanting a fun night, like just a fantasy night with your girlfriends, I don't know, like maybe we'll do something. Maybe it'll be in Charleston. Maybe it'll be in November. I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know who said that. Pay attention to my Instagram. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you guys have more questions, comment them down below. Happy to comment back, reply, all the things, and I can give you more information. But I love my bookish people. I really hope that this was helpful. And please tag me if you get tickets to any balls. Tag me and in any balls that you're seeing and you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds fun. Tag me. I want to know about it because maybe I want to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to see more book content, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!